have 27 books to show you today. So for the last haul, which was also my first haul on this channel, I decided to do like a vlog style video, but this time I thought I would just do a sit down video and see what I prefer to do and what I prefer to edit. So let's go. So the first thing I have to show you is the trilogy. It's the Regency fairy tale trilogy, so it's Half a Soul, 10,000 Stitches and Longshadow by Olivia Atwater. So it's like fantasy, romantasy, but in the Regency era in London. And in the first one, which is Half a Soul, the main character has half a soul. Like Faye tried to take a whole soul, but she was able to stop it, but now she has like half a soul. And she wants to find love, but she doesn't feel things the way that other people feel. And I think this one is like autistic coded, like the main character could be autistic, and I'm autistic. So I'm excited to read this book and read the whole series. Then I have the first two books in the trilogy to show you, and it's the Fallen Gods trilogy. So you have Godkiller and Sunbringer. I know that the third one, I don't remember the name, but it just came out last week or 2 weeks ago, but very recently. And I'm going to like a Renaissance medieval fair in at the end of April, and the author is gonna go there, but I don't know if I'm gonna take the books or even try to see her, because I'm not the type of person who has like to me signings doesn't have a lot of meanings. But I mean, if I can meet an author when I'm already going somewhere to do something specific, why not try to have them sign just for the experience? But yeah, so in this book you follow Kisen, I think it's how you pronounce her name, and her parents have been killed by a god, and now she decided to be a god killer. I feel like the titles of the last books are very like, you can guess what the story is about. So yeah, she kills God, and she has to team up with a knight at some point to have a mission to kill a god. And I think in this series it's quite LGBT friendly. I don't know if the main character is LGBT, but apparently there's LGBT characters in the story, so I'm also quite excited to read it. And I don't know if you've seen the Come Book Shopping with me in Brussels that I did, and I showed you that 2 different type of editions for ACOTAR, and that's kind of the same with this one, like paperback, hardback, and to be honest, I don't really care that it doesn't match. The next book I have has quite pretty spread edges, and it's The Painter's Muse by Emmelie Arents. I know that the author is Dutch, but I don't know if she wrote the book in English or if it was translated. But since there's not a translator like accredited, I think she wrote it in English. But I feel like it's quite interesting. So in this one you're in Venice, and you follow an artist. I think he's a painter, and at some point he finds a mask who belonged to Da Vinci, and I think it grants him power, and then he has been commissioned by a noble in Venice to do art, and he falls for someone in the palazzo. So yeah, I'm quite excited to read this one, and also I'm going to Italy in Venice in June, and I think I'm gonna read it. I think I'm gonna read this one there because it's quite fitting. And then something completely different from this kind of genre is The Sea of Tranquility by Emily St John Mandel. I read Station 11 and The Glass Hotel. Of the two, I prefer The Glass Hotel, but I really like the way she writes, and that everything is like, you don't really get at the beginning why you follow so many different characters and so many different stories, but at some point everything like converge together and you're like, And in this one you follow like, it span around like 500 years, and you follow a guy who goes to Canada, you follow a woman who has a book signing on Earth, but she also has a house on the moon, and you follow also a detective who has to solve a murder. Now we're back in the fantasy world, and I have the Shadows and Crowns series, but well, the first 2 books in the series by M Gaither, so it's The Song of the Marked and A Twist of the Blade. I read recently, and I think you would have seen it in my last video, or second to last, like the series review. I read the novella from her, the The Stolen Shadow Bride, and I really enjoyed it actually. I think it was my favorite one, if I remember correctly. So I'm quite excited to read this one. So in this one you follow Cassia, who's a mercenary, and she's been commissioned by the king to find a cure for a plague that's been happening in this world, and she has to team up with the captain, reluctantly, but I think they're gonna fall in love. So yeah. Then the next one, I don't really have a lot to say about this book because the synopsis is very brief and vague, but it's Black Heat by Bex Hogan. So in this one you follow 3 different women. I know that the only thing I know is that like revenge, feminism, and it's in the fantasy world, and you follow an exiled princess, a rebel blacksmith, and a clever midwife, and have to get revenge on something or someone. And I also read Viper by this author, like maybe 5 or 6 years ago, so I'm excited to read another one of her books. Then one of the few books I got new, because it was like half off on Amazon. I don't usually buy a lot of books on Amazon, or buy a lot on Amazon, but it was like 12 euros for the hardcover, and I know this one is quite popular. It's The Wheel of the Many by James Islington. I don't know how many books are gonna be in this series. So in this one you're in the academy, and someone has gone undercover in the academy to solve a murder, and I think it's gonna be power, and it's written really small, and it's written by a man. I don't know if you've seen my last whole video. Or I talked about the fact that I don't read books written by men, but I want to challenge that this year and maybe do a vlog reading books by men. I also have another books written by a man, but yeah, that's quite a big deal for me, so yeah. And then I have The Stardust Thief by Jessie Abdullah. It's the Sensi trilogy, and in the story you follow Luli, who is a criminal, and she has like a Jean bodyguard, and then when she saves one of the prince, she's been commissioned. I have to stop saying commissioned. She has been tasked by the Sultan to find a lamp, and she has to team up with another prince, reluctantly again, but I think they're gonna fall in love. Next up, I have a whole series. It's 4 books, and I think I paid less than 15 euros for, on Vinted, of course. 15 euros for the whole series, shipping included, and it's the Madison Kate series by Tate James. I read the Honey Trap by her, but I didn't feel really compelled to continue the series. I'm quite of a hard sell on reverse harem, and it's the case in this one. So in this one you follow Madison Kate, who when she was 17, she was wrongly convicted of starting a riot, and now she wants to get revenge. We love women getting revenge. And yeah, she wants to get revenge on the 3 guys who got her wrongly convicted, but one of the guys is now her stepbrother, and she's gonna fall in love with all 3 of them. I don't know how it's gonna go, but I have a whole series to figure it out. Then I have 2 books found at the same time, the second-hand bookstore near me. It's Only Ever Yours and A Chance Encounter by Nikki Ash. So they are both standalone romances. So in Only Ever Yours you follow like somebody who pretended to be an escort and the client, and they fall in love and he wants to pursue her. And in Chance Encounter you follow a single mom and a musician. I don't have a lot to say about it, it's a romance. Then I have 2 romantasy to talk about. The first one is The Borderlands Princess by Ophelia Wells Langley. So like a very typical romantasy, but this one doesn't have the best ratings. You follow a princess who has to marry a prince for the peace treaty, but she falls in love with the bodyguard. So that's what we like in this kind of stories. And then we have A Court of Ravens and Ruins by Eliza Raine. It's a Brides of Fay and Mist novel. So in this one you follow Rena, who was born and enslaved in the Gold Court, and at some point there was an uprising and the Shadow Court came to the Gold Court, and they kidnapped Rena, and now the Fey Prince declared her his betrothed, and that's the story of it. Again, very typical romantasy, but we like it. And then something I thought I would never read, because it's totally not my preferred genre or things I read about. It's Iron Widow by Zhao. I never read science fiction, but I was doing some research about like female rage books, and this one was always in the list are like the top 3, or most of the time it was like Iron Widow is the book you want to read if you want to read about female rage. So in this book it's sci-fi, so they have pilots who have to combat like aliens, and for the pilots they need to have concubine to help power up the spaceship, and she volunteers herself to be a concubine pilot because she has a revenge plan, and I'm excited to read it. And also I need to be prepared to feel rage but I have a vlog planned for this kind of books, so yeah, I'm excited to read it. We're down to the last 5 books, and the next book is gonna be a book that got so bad reviews and review bombed before even it came out because everybody said that the author was an industry plant. So much drama. And it's Lightlark by Alex Aster. I thought, like, you know what, even after all the debacle, now I'm interested to read what all the fuss was about, and even if the book is good. And also saw like a short video about some quotes, and I was like, I'm interested to read it now. So in this one, every century an island appears. It's the Lightlark Island, and every ruler has to go to this island and have to go through some trials. But for the trials to finish, one ruler has to die, and we follow one of them, which is, I think, the youngest ruler. The female main character is the youngest ruler, and she is called Isla Crown. Could be better with a name, very on the nose, but oh well. And then the second book written by a man in my book haul is Tress of the Emerald Sea by Brittany Sanderson. To be honest, I was never really interested in this book. I don't think I will read the Mistborn series, but this one is set in the Cosmere universe, but I think Mistborn is set also in this universe, but it's completely standalone. You don't need to read the other books to read this one. You will just miss like Easter eggs, but I don't really care for them, so yeah. So in this one you follow Tress, and she's surrounded by an emerald sea. No, at some point Tress, who has a friend, this friend is taken away by his father, and I think he gets lost, or the ships never return, so she decides to go find him on the sea, and she never really left the island, so it's like an adventure pirate. Then we have that self-same metal, so difficult to say, self-same, by Brittany N Williams. It's the Forge and Fracture series, or trilogy, saga, the saga. And in this one you follow Joanne, who has powers, and she like creates and upkeep the blades for the plays of William Shakespeare. That's why I got the book, because I love Shakespeare. And in this world, which is set in London, but in this world you have also Fae, but at some point there's a lot of Fae attacks, and she's kind of enrolled in finding why, or the mystery of it all, so I'm excited to read this one. And then the last 3 books I have to talk about. There are books that I've already read, and I'm just, after the video, I'm just gonna put them on my bookshelves. And the first one is A Court is Cruel and Lovely by Stacia Stark. I reviewed it in my first book reviews, the Reviewing 3 Romantasies. So I'm not gonna talk a lot about it, but I have to say, yesterday I finished the 3rd one. There's only 4 in the series, only. It's enough, only. There's 4 books in this series, and last night I finished the 3rd one, and to be honest, I think at the moment this one is my favorite, and I feel like the series is kinda going downhill at the moment. I'm still gonna finish it, but yeah, for the moment this one is my favorite. And then I have a duology. It's the Crimson Moth duology. To be honest, The Rebel Witch is gonna be like one of my top favorite books of the year. I felt so much reading it. I cried, I laughed, my heart was broken. I don't know why, but I was really connected to this series. So if you don't know, in this one you follow Rune, who's a witch, and Gideon, who's a witch hunter, and she's the Crimson Moth, meaning that she tries to save a lot of witches that Gideon is trying to kill, and at some point he suspects that she is a witch, and they kind of fall in love in the meantime. So if you want like a real enemies to lovers, romantasy or romance at all, this one is for you, because they hate each other so much. Even like maybe like until 2/3 of the second book, they love and hate each other so much at the same amount, and it's so good. I love this kind of tension. So yeah, these 2 books concludes the video, concludes the haul. Let me know if you have read any of the other books and if you have like any opinions about any of them. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye!